And good afternoon. Welcome back, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Shriver with Mike Shriver Ministries. Let's just get into this right away. We had another press briefing, not a press briefing, but it is a Pentagon War Department discussion. And then we have the briefing from the beautiful Caroline Levitt. And then, okay, let's get into this. Very important stuff we are listening to right here. Here we go.
All right, that breaking news right now. Pentagon starting its second briefing on the strikes against Iran. Let's listen to it.
Only 4 days into this. Metrics are shifting, dust is settling, and more forces are arriving. It's very early. And as President Trump has said, we will take all the time we
Welcome
need
in, everybody.
to
Good
make
to have
sure
you.
that we succeed. Second, we are only 4 days into this. And the results have been incredible. Historic, really. Only the United States of America could lead this. Only us. But when you add the Israeli Defense
Thanks
Forces,
to the grace
a
of God,
devastatingly
let us not
capable
forget
force,
God in this,
the combination is sheer
in our
destruction
nation and our power.
for our
Thanks to
radical
Jesus.
Islamist Iranian adversaries.
Hey, Tapioca,
They are
great to
toast,
see you. How you doing?
And they know it. Or at least, soon enough, they will know it. And we have only just begun to hunt, dismantle, demoralize, destroy, and defeat their capabilities. Just 4 days in. Starting last night and to be completed in a few days, in under a week, the two most powerful air forces in the world will have complete control of Iranian skies, uncontested airspace. I hope all the folks watching understand what uncontested airspace and complete control means. It means we will fly all day, all night, day and night, finding, fixing, and finishing the missiles and defense industrial base of the Iranian military, finding and fixing their leaders and their military leaders, flying over Tehran, flying over Iran, flying over their capital, flying over the IRGC, Iranian leaders looking up and seeing only U.S. and Israeli air power.
As it should be.
Every minute of every day until we decide it's over. And Iran will be able to do nothing about it. B-2s, B-52s, B-1s, Predator drones, fighters, controlling the skies, picking targets. Death and destruction from the sky all day long. We're playing for keeps. Our warfighters have maximum authorities granted personally by the president and yours truly. Our rules of engagement are bold, precise, and designed to unleash American power, not shackle it. This was never meant to be a fair fight, and it is not a fair fight. We are punching them while they're down, which is exactly how it should be. Thus far, Operation Epic Fury has delivered twice the air power of shock and awe of Iraq in 2003, minus Paul Bremer and the nation building. Everyone. The campaign has 7 times the intensity of Israel's previous operations against Iran during the 12-day war. 7 times.
Wow.
And as President Trump said, more and larger waves are coming. We are just getting started. We are accelerating, not decelerating. Iran's capabilities are evaporating by the hour, while American strength grows fiercer, smarter, and utterly dominant. More bombers and more fighters.
Alfie, welcome to
are
Mike Shriver
arriving
Ministries.
just
Crazy
today.
Soldier, great to have you.
And now, with complete control of the skies, we will be using 500-pound, 1,000-pound, and 2,000-pound GPS and laser-guided precision gravity bombs, of which we have a nearly unlimited stockpile. We used more exquisite standoff munitions at the start, but no longer need to. Our stockpiles of those, as well as Patriots, remains extremely strong. The enemy can no longer shoot the volume of missiles they once did, not even close. And the chairman will lay out some of those percentages. So our air defenses and that of our allies have plenty of runway. We can sustain this fight easily for as long as we need to. And as I said yesterday, we set the terms. Now, you may not see much of it because the IRGC shut off the internet to the entirety of the country. They blind their people on purpose.
That's awful.
Just like they kill their own on purpose. Much was made of the volume of missiles Iran was able to shoot in the first few days. And sadly, as we projected, a few got through and killed 6 of our best, who will hopefully arrive home soon. We will avenge them, no doubt. But I liken Iran's predicament to a football team who scripted the first 20 plays of a game. The team knew what plays to run because their first few drives were scripted. But now that the game has started and the blitz
Feline,
is on,
welcome back in. Good to have you.
they don't know what plays to call, let alone how to get in the huddle and call those plays.
Exactly.
Iran's senior leaders are dead.
What is that? Nectar and
The so-called governing council that might have selected a successor,
yeah, they could have avoided
dead,
all this.
missing,
Absolutely.
or cowering in bunkers, too terrified to even occupy the same room. Senior generals, mid-level officers, enlisted.
In fact, they could have avoided all of it. You're absolutely right, Nectar. Because if they would have just, if they would have just said, okay, all right, we hear you, we agree, okay, they could have at least maintained their lives and still tried to be deceptive. But nope, you mess with the eagle, you get the claws and the beak.
Ranks, they can't talk or communicate, let alone mount a coordinated and sustained offensive. That's not great for morale. The Iranian Air Force is no more. Built for 1996, destroyed in 2026.
Hi, everybody.
The Iranian Navy rests at the bottom of the Persian Gulf.
Yes, we hit them with a submarine.
Combat ineffective,
Sunk a ship.
decimated, destroyed, defeated. Pick your adjective. In fact, last night, we sunk their prize ship, the Soleimani. Looks like POTUS got him twice.
That's right.
Their Navy, not a factor. Pick your adjective. It is no more. In
Excellent.
fact, yesterday, in the Indian Ocean, and we'll play it on the screen there, an American submarine sunk an Iranian warship that thought it was safe in international waters. Instead, it was sunk by a torpedo. Quiet death. The first sinking of an enemy ship by a torpedo since World War II.
Death by silence.
Like in that war, back when we were still the War Department, we are fighting to win. Also, yesterday, the leader of the unit who attempted to assassinate President Trump has been hunted down and killed. Iran tried to kill President Trump, and President Trump got the last laugh. Now, this is not a mission accomplished situation.
Okay, Tapioca, have a good day. Thanks for stopping by.
The combination of U.S. and Israeli intelligence and combat power will control Iran, and will control it soon. Sure, Iran will still be able to shoot some missiles and still be able to launch one-way attack drones at civilian targets, and their proxies will attempt to attack our embassies, bases, and soft targets. They are terrorists, after all, and they need to target civilians because they can't fight toe-to-toe. But we will find them.
Jack, how's it going?
And we will kill them. This is what the fake news misses. We've taken control of Iran's airspace and waterways without boots on the ground. We control their fate. But when a few drones get through or tragic things happen, it's front page news. I get it. The press only wants to make the president look bad.
Exactly.
But
That's what they try to do.
To report the reality. The terms of this war will be set by us at every step. As I said Monday, the mission is laser focused. Obliterate Iran's missiles and drones and facilities that produce them, annihilate its navy and critical security infrastructure, and sever their pathway to nuclear weapons. Iran will never possess a nuclear bomb, not on our watch, not
Thank God.
ever. And this is why President Trump's moral clarity on Iran today is so vital.
Excuse me.
Unlike the past, where vague red lines and endless negotiations
Violent.
let Iran fund
That tail,
terror and inch ever so slightly toward a bomb, this president sees the threat plainly and acts decisively. No more half measures, especially when Iran is at its weakest. No more letting Tehran play for time while our people pay the price. His leadership ensures that we finish what we start, and that we protect our warfighters by crushing the enemy before they can strike again.
Let me run an
Our
idea.
offensive operations refined.
let's just take a moment, shall we, and get the cat out of my way. I love you, sweetheart. Here was my idea. I don't know. What do you guys think about in the chat? Let me hear your opinion on this. The United States continues to decimate them from the air and the sea, but Israel, being this their neck of the woods, how about they send their troops in on foot and no U.S. troops have to set foot on Iran soil to get the bad guys? Let Israel be in their neck of the woods, deal with them on the ground.
Through months of relentless preparation, are unstoppable. And our defensive efforts are unprecedented.
You silly kitty cat.
We have from the start put the protection of our troops ahead of everything else. Before we very publicly built up offensive combat power, we quietly ensured that our defensive posture and power was in place. And as we built up offensive combat power, we moved the vast majority of American troops, over 90% of Americans that were on our bases, what we say off the X, out of the range of Iranian
I'm starting
fire.
a poll.
Our defensive shield is equally formidable. The most sophisticated air and missile defense network ever fielded. Thousands of Iranian missiles and drones have been intercepted and vaporized. Tens of thousands of American and allied lives protected. We have pushed every counter-UAS system possible forward, sparing no expense or capability. And like I said, this does not mean we can stop everything, but we ensured that the maximum possible defense and maximum possible force protection was set up before we went on offense. In closing, as President Trump told German Chancellor Merz yesterday, Iran negotiated in bad faith, stalling, scheming, and preparing to strike. And
the poll is now up. Should the USA attack from the air and sea, and then Israel do all the boots on the ground work?
We acted decisively to defend our people, our interests, and our allies. President Trump took bold action, putting America first, the kind of bold action that the American people elected him to execute. To our steadfast partner, Israel, your mission is being executed with unmatched skill and iron determination.
Amen.
Fighting shoulder to shoulder with such a capable ally is a true force multiplier and a breath of fresh air. We salute your courage and your contribution. 4 days in, we have only just begun to fight. America fights to win, and in Operation Epic Fury, we are. May God's providence cover and protect our troops always. And with that, I turn it over to the chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm here today to provide the American people and those of you in this room an update on Operation Epic Fury. First, it's with profound sadness and gratitude that I share the names of 4 of our 6 fallen heroes, all from the 103rd Sustainment Command, U.S. Army Reserves out of Des Moines, Iowa. Captain Cody Cork, Sergeant First Class Noah Tegens, Sergeant First Class Nicole Amore, and Sergeant Declan Cody. To the families of our fallen, we grieve with you today, and we look forward to welcoming your family members home at Dover in the coming days. Out of respect for the other families, we'll withhold the release of their names until next of kin notification is complete. And either myself or Admiral Cooper will release those names as soon as we can ensure that all of those families have been properly notified. To our Gold Star families, to our wounded warriors and their loved ones, we will never forget your sacrifice. Our nation stands with you, and we are eternally grateful for your courage, your resiliency, your devotion to this mission and to our nation. As the Secretary said, we're 4 days in, 103 hours into this campaign. The operation was again launched with clear military objectives designed to dismantle Iran's ability to project power outside of its borders, both today and in the future. First, we are targeting and eliminating Iran's ballistic missile systems to prevent them from threatening the U.S. forces, partners, and interests in the region. Second, we are destroying the Iranian Navy, degrading its capacity, capability, and ability to conduct operations, not just in the Central Command AOR, but as the Secretary showed in the video, around the world. Third, we're ensuring Iran cannot rapidly rebuild or reconstitute its combat capability or combat power, and those phases will begin as the campaign continues. As of this morning, U.S. Central Command is making steady progress. Iran's theater ballistic missile shots fired are down 86% from the first day of fighting, with a 23% decrease just in the last 24 hours. And their one-way attack drone shots are down 73% from the opening days. This progress has allowed CENTCOM to establish localized air superiority across the southern flank of the Iranian coast and penetrate their defenses with overwhelming precision and firepower. We will now begin to expand inland, striking progressively deeper into Iranian territory and creating additional freedom of maneuver for U.S. forces. Let me explain a little bit about how we're thinking about staying ahead of the enemy. First, over the past several weeks, Admiral Cooper and the CENTCOM team have refined their operational approach to the region. Their planners identified key centers of gravity that would allow Iran to project power outside of its borders. They thought about how to isolate critical vulnerabilities and determined where, with precision, the greatest strategic effect could be achieved. As a result of this, CENTCOM is now shifting in day 4 already from large deliberate strike packages using standoff munitions at range outside an enemy's ability to shoot at us, now into stand-in precision strikes overhead Iran. As the Secretary said, this is a point of munitions transition from standoff munitions to stand-in munitions like Joint Direct Attack munitions, which are GPS-aided free-fall weapons, and other things like Hellfires, etc. This will allow the joint force to deliver significantly increased precision effects on the target. The throttle is coming up, as the Secretary said, as opposed to ramping down. This will allow us to maintain consistent pressure on the adversary over the coming days, disrupt their launch timelines, and impose cost every day around the clock. I know there have been a lot of questions about munitions. We have sufficient precision munitions for the task at hand, both on the offense and defense. But I want to tell you, teammates, as a matter of practice, I don't want to be talking about quantities. And I know there's been a great debate about that, and I appreciate the interest, but just know that we consider that an operational security matter. Let me flip to the map here. Hopefully I don't kill anybody with a laser pointer. As I mentioned earlier, and for you with the camera right there, my friend, I hope I don't ricochet off and hurt you. Over the initial days, the U.S. Joint Forces continued to attack and attrit ballistic missile capabilities as well as integrated air defense capabilities along the southern axis. Along the northern axis, Israel and the Israeli Air Force has predominantly been working integrated air defense targets along the northern flank, as well as medium-range ballistic missile capability as well. From the sea, the USS Ford has continued to project combat power here, as well as the bomber pulses that we talked about in the opening days of this briefing. Along the southern axis, the USS Abraham Lincoln Strike Group has continued to provide pressure from the sea along the southeastern side of the coast and has been attritting naval capability all along the strait and up into the Arabian Gulf at a size and scale sufficiently to address the targets required. To date, we've hit over 2,000 targets, as Admiral Cooper said in his video last night. We've destroyed more than 20 Iranian naval vessels, including, in addition to the frigate outside of the area, one submarine, and effectively neutralized at this point in time Iran's major naval presence in theater out there. As the Secretary showed the video, for the first time since 1945, a United States Navy fast attack submarine has sunk an enemy combatant ship
That's
using a
fantastic.
single Mark
That's
48
good to hear.
torpedo to achieve immediate effect, sending the warship to the bottom of the sea. I want to remind everybody that this is an incredible demonstration of America's global reach. To hunt, find, and kill an out-of-area deployer is something that only the United States can do at this type of scale. Over the next 24 to 48 hours, CENTCOM will continue to strike infrastructure and naval capability, and will continue to assess our progress against the military objectives. It does take time for us to collect that information and to assess en route. Much of our intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance capability is currently hunting and killing ballistic missile launchers and one-way
it's crazy
attack
how
capability.
quiet Russia and China's
We're
being. You just
precise
have
in
to
that
wonder.
assessment, and we call balls and strikes in that assessment. We take that matter seriously. Iran, on the other hand, has been indiscriminate and more imprecise in their attacks. They fired more than 500 ballistic missiles and more than 2,000 drones, striking innocent civilian targets throughout the region. Our partners are answering the call to defend themselves right alongside us. Jordan, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, and Kuwait are all defending their people with their own combat capability, with precision and restraint. Jordanian air defense crews recently intercepted a cluster of Iranian one-way attack drones headed to Amman. Bahrain's air defense forces shot down an inbound drone approaching Manama's maritime infrastructure, protecting both their population and critical shipping lanes. Saudi Patriot batteries stopped a salvo of ballistic missiles aimed at energy facilities near Dhahran. The UAE neutralized multiple drones targeting Abu Dhabi's industrial zone, demonstrating speed and precision. And Qatari fighters for the first time have shot down 2 Iranian bombers that were en route to their location. Together, these nations are helping to defend themselves and project power as required against the enemy. We're 100 hours in. It's still very early, as the Secretary said, but the balance is shifting. We've always got to remember that these operations are complex, dangerous, and far from over. Our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Guardians, and Coast Guardsmen remain in harm's way, and we must be clear-eyed that the risk is still high. This is combat. Let us never forget this. As we continue, I ask that we hold all of our deployed teammates in our thoughts, those standing the watch, flying the sorties, sustaining the fight, and carrying our nation's burden. And I'll stop where I started, and that's remembering our 6 fallen who will return home as soon as possible. I remain humbled, grateful, inspired by every day the valor and professionalism of our joint force. They are quiet professionals through and through, out there doing America's work through the day and through the darkness. And with that, I'll take your questions along with the Secretary.
Go ahead.
What do you assess the enemy's control?
Wow, I can't hear her.
Our
There we
decisive
go.
point in this operation.
Oh, I won't describe the.
That was Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and General Dan Kane giving a news conference on the situation in Iran. Defense Secretary Hegseth said that the results of the war so far have been incredible. Within a week, the U.S. and Israel will have uncontrolled airspace of the area, calling it death and destruction from the skies. He also says the U.S. is just getting started and can sustain the fight for as long as needed, but the mission is not accomplished yet. General Dan Kane says that the strategy is
What
changing
about the questions
now
from
to
the
a
press? Why don't we
stand-in
get those
strike
on
from
this channel? Let
overhead.
me see if I can find
6
it.
American soldiers have died in the conflict and 4 have been identified.
Okay, well, let's go to the press secretary from earlier. Let's go ahead and do that. We got to decloak her right here and engage.
Under the leadership of President
Hey guys,
Donald
don't forget
J.
to hit
Trump,
that thumbs
the
up
rogue
button.
Iranian
And if you'd like to
terrorist regime
subscribe,
is
I'm
being
live 10 to
absolutely
15 times a
crushed.
week with the Word of God
47
and
years
news.
of tolerating and enabling the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism are over. Iran's murderous terrorist leaders are paying for their crimes against America, and they are paying in blood. Since 1979, the terrorist Iranian regime has actively and intentionally facilitated the killings of Americans. They chant death to America and fund other radical terrorists who attack our country and are seeking to destroy Western civilization itself.
For being so young, she is one very impressive young lady. Her skills with speech and just doing this job, I would dare say she's the best press secretary we ever had.
These terrorists seized our embassy and took 66 Americans hostage in Tehran. They slaughtered 241 U.S. service members with a truck bombing in Beirut. They killed and maimed hundreds of American service members in Iraq. And this is just a small fraction of their blood-soaked record. Prior leaders have been too weak and ineffective to address this threat. Some, like Barack Hussein Obama, even sent pallets of cash that ultimately financed this terrorist crusade against the United States and our people, while signing stupid and naive deals that put Iran on the path of developing nuclear bombs. After years of endless appeasement and empty statements from politicians on both sides of the political aisle in this town, President Trump is finally the man of action. President Trump is holding these monsters accountable and permanently extinguishing their nuclear ambitions. Future generations of Americans will look to this moment as the moment where the specter of a nuclear armed Iran ended. At the beginning of Operation Epic Fury, launched last weekend, President Trump laid out clear objectives to the American people on what the U.S. military seeks to accomplish through these major combat operations. Number one, destroy the regime's deadly ballistic missiles and completely raze their missile industry to the ground. Number two, annihilate the Iranian regime's navy. And so far, we have destroyed more than 20 Iranian ships, including their top submarine last night, using a torpedo for the first time since World War II. There is not a single Iranian ship underway in the Arabian Gulf, Strait of Hormuz, or the Gulf of Oman. Number three, Operation Epic Fury will ensure the regime's terrorist proxies in the region can no longer destabilize the region or the free world and attack our armed forces. And thus far, Iran's proxies are hardly putting up a fight. Number four, this mission will guarantee that Iran can never obtain a nuclear weapon. It's safe to say that thus far, Operation Epic Fury has been a resounding success. American forces have struck more than 2,000 targets, destroying hundreds and hundreds of ballistic missiles, launchers, and drones. As the Department of War said this morning, we expect to have complete and total dominance over Iranian airspace in the coming hours, clearing the skies for our brave warriors to continue achieving these noble and long sought-after objectives. There's been a lot of misreporting and intellectual dishonesty from the American media on why President Trump decided to launch this operation. So let me remind you, Operation Midnight Hammer, which took place last June, obliterated Iran's 3 major nuclear sites. Yet the terrorist Iranian regime has remained fully committed to rebuilding its nuclear program. How do we know this? Because Iran has pursued this path of war and violence despite President Trump dispatching 2 of his top and most trusted negotiators to engage in exhaustive and good faith negotiations to try and reach a deal. And the world knows this president's preference is always peace and diplomacy first. Look no further than the 8 additional global conflicts he has ended in the past year as proof. Unfortunately, the terrorist Iranian regime refused to negotiate in good faith. They chose this path of violence and destruction, and they are reaping the consequences of their horrible decision. The regime did what they always have done. They lied, they delayed, they tried to string the United States of America along. They wanted to buy themselves time to continue building ballistic missiles and other deadly weaponry that could harm our U.S. personnel and troops in the region, and to continue aggressively pursuing their unacceptable nuclear ambitions. U.S. negotiators offered to lift crippling sanctions on Iran and even provide nuclear fuel to Iran at no cost to support a civil nuclear power program. They additionally had the opportunity to accept U.S. support as an investor in potential projects to develop peaceful nuclear energy together under a mutually agreed upon framework. Yet in response, Iran would have to forfeit their enrichment capacity once and for all. But Iran rejected. They accepted none of these generous and unprecedented offers by the United States. Simply put, they refused to say yes to peace. And their refusal made clear that their number one priority was building a nuclear weapon with which to threaten the United States of America. Again, the country they have been chanting death to for nearly 5 decades. Let me state this again clearly. Iran rejected the path of peace because the terrorists in charge of this regime wanted to build nuclear weapons to use against Americans and our allies. President Trump made the determination, a courageous determination and decision, that the path the United States was on with Iran had only one outcome: massive death and destruction at the hands of a nuclear-armed terroristic regime. That path of death and destruction and threats against the American people have ended with Operation Epic Fury. Operation Epic Fury has forged a new path that will better ensure the security of the United States and our people. The terrorists made a bet that President Trump would be like many of his predecessors, that he would just talk and he would refuse to enforce his clear red lines. But that has proven to be a catastrophic error in judgment. When President Trump makes a threat, and I have reiterated that threat many times from this podium to all of you over the past year, President Trump does not bluff. The president's words are backed up by the mightiest warriors in the world who possess the most sophisticated capabilities this world has ever known. 49 and counting of the most senior Iranian regime leaders, including the supreme leader, have already been wiped off the face of the earth. Make no mistake, killing these brutal terrorists is good for America and makes the world a much safer place.
It does.
I want to also extend our prayers and condolences to the families of the 6 U.S. military service members who have been lost in Operation Epic Fury. These heroes represent the very best among us. They laid down their lives in defense of our country, and we will never forget their legacy or their sacrifice. As the president said, we grieve for these American patriots and their families as we continue the righteous mission for which they gave their lives. President Trump intends to attend the dignified transfer of these American heroes to stand in grief alongside their families. I understand the Department of War is working on scheduling.
As soon as we're done with this, in fact, I think maybe we're just going to go to that. President Trump's live right now, from my understanding, right here on Fox. Let me see. Is he live yet? Yes, he is. Let's see what they're talking about here. All right, we're going to go over to that. Give me just a moment as I bring that video up for all y'all. And guys, thanks for being here. If you enjoy the content, just try out the channel for a while. Hit that sub button. And I'm live 10 to 15 times a week preaching the word of God. And now that the war is going on, I want to bring you the war also. So here we go, guys. Here's President Trump, and it looks like Mike Johnson is in the crowd. I didn't see everybody that was there. I just caught him, but here we go.
Shortwell, Gwen Shortwell of XAI, another
It's a little bit of
real
an echo.
leader.
That's
Thank
not
you
on
very
my
much.
end, though.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And say hello, right, to a special person. The last administration, their allies in Congress gave us the worst inflation
Let me see if I can start
in,
over.
I say, the
I
history of our country, but they say 40.
Oh, I can. Okay. Hey Jeff, how you doing, buddy?
Well, thank you very much. These are exciting times. I think you probably want to speak about war rather than this, but this is very important. This is very important, and we're doing very well on the war
Jeff.
front, to put it mildly, I would say. Somebody said, on a scale of 10, where would you rate it? I said about a 15. And we're going to continue to do well. We have the greatest military in the world by far. And that was a tremendous threat to us for many years. 47 years they've been killing our people and killing people from all over the world. And I think we have great support. And I think if we didn't do it first, they would have done it to Israel and give us a shot if that was possible. And if we didn't terminate the worst deal, one of the worst deals ever made, the Obama nuclear deal, I call it the Obama nuclear deal, where he gave everything to Iran, including a nuclear weapon. It was a road to a nuclear weapon. Bad things would have happened 4 years ago because they would have had a weapon 4 years ago if I didn't terminate that deal. So we're in a very strong position now, and their leadership is just rapidly going. Everybody that seems to want to be a leader, they end up dead. And it's an amazing thing that's taking place before your eyes, because for 47 years we were pushed around, and we shouldn't have been. And I think I can say, and you see it as well as I do, you see the tremendous progress that's being made. Their missiles are being wiped out rapidly. Their launchers are being wiped out. They're attacking their neighbors. They're attacking their, in some cases, allies, or not so long ago allies. And, you know, it's really a nation that was out of control, and they would have used it on us if we let them, if we waited any longer.
All right. I'm done with that.
A big factor was Soleimani, the killing of Soleimani in my first term. And maybe the biggest factor was the rebuilding of the military in my first term. And then the B-2s hit the, and I use the word obliterate because it really was, it was a complete obliteration of their nuclear potential. And that set them back very, very seriously. If
Exactly,
we didn't hit
Theon.
within 2
Yeah.
weeks, they would have had a nuclear weapon. If we didn't do the B-2 attack a number of months ago, they would have a nuclear weapon. And when crazy people have nuclear weapons, bad things happen. So we're in very good shape now. I want to let you know that, and we will continue forward. But it's a great display of military strength, and I'm very proud to have, with some of the people in the room, both senators and congressmen, we rebuilt, and women, we rebuilt our military during the first term, and we're using it a little bit more than I thought we would have to. Venezuela worked out really great. We have a wonderful relationship with the president and the various representatives, and we're taking out hundreds of millions of barrels of oil, and that goes to our benefit and to Venezuela's benefit. They'll be doing better than they've ever done before, and we will get a big piece of that, and we'll also make life wonderful for the people of Venezuela who have been very, very badly hit. So that's a lot said in a short period of time, but you can witness it for yourself. And now we'll get on to something that I'm very proud of, because it was sort of my idea, like
Very much so.
build your own power plant. And everybody thought I was kidding. They said, really, you can do that? How would you do that? I said, we'll get you fast permits, and you'll build your own plants, but we're going to discuss it in.
How many others in the chat have heard that Israel is looking at attacking Turkey? And I think, Jen, I don't know how to pronounce your name, so I don't know if you're a man or a woman. I'm guessing a woman being Jen, but maybe not. I do apologize. Didn't you say that Israel is considering attacking Turkey and Egypt? I know they want to take over the Middle East, and I'm all for that. I have one of our allies in the Middle East, in fact, our biggest ally in the Middle East, to be able to control things for us from afar would be fantastic. According to Bible prophecy, though, there will never be a lasting peace until Jesus comes back. But yeah, didn't you say they're considering attacking Egypt and Turkey? That's nuts. But I want to see. I want to see what's behind that. Not right now, though. Okay, so that's something to come in the future. Okay.
Great detail with the biggest people in the industry and some of our great leaders and senators. And congratulations on the Medal of Honor for your 100-year soldier. You know, 100 years old, 101 to be exact. And Daryl's been fighting that he get the Congressional Medal of Honor for many years, Daryl, right?
Mr. President, I give you all the credit for overcoming the lawyers in the Department of the Navy in a way that I thought was amazing.
Yeah.
And
Well, we
nobody
didn't
could
have
have done
too
it but
long
you.
to go. Maybe he'll be along. We had to get it to him a little bit quickly, but he looks like he's in good shape. He's got some years left, right?
He's planning to come back here for your next Medal of Honor ceremony. And, he's also going to be the star at Tailhook this summer if you want to come to Reno.
Well, I congratulate you for that success. That was amazing. He didn't stop. I've known him a long time. He never stops. So congratulations. It's very nice. We're here this afternoon for a historic signing that will help keep down utility bills very, very substantially, and electricity prices for millions of Americans, and in many cases for a lot of people that don't really understand why they're going up, but they're not going to be going up. They're going to be actually going down. Today we follow through on an announcement I made in my State of the Union address last week as America's largest tech companies officially signed the Ratepayer Protection Pledge. It's a big deal. It's going to have a tremendous impact on electricity costs. We're bringing down all of the costs. We have this little interlude to do what we have to do because we had it going, but these interludes are very important, especially this one. But the economy has never been like this. We broke 50,000 on the Dow. People thought we wouldn't do that within the first 4 years. We did it in the first year. And we brought 7 on the S&P, 7,000 on the S&P. They said that's even less likely to happen. And we did that too, all within the first year. Under this new agreement, big tech companies are committing to fully cover the cost of increased electricity production required for AI data centers.
I wouldn't be surprised.
That would be prices for American communities will not go up, but in many cases will actually come down in very substantial.
You know, speaking of the capital being Jerusalem, you know, there has been over 40 wars fought over the city of Jerusalem alone. Over 40. That is absolutely amazing. And you want to know why? Because God said, I will put my name in Jerusalem. When the new Jerusalem comes down out of God from heaven, after the elements melt with a fervent heat, and I believe that's 2 Peter chapter 4, the new Jerusalem will come down 1,400 miles cubed. That means, it goes up into outer space by about 1,300 miles, a little bit more. But the one that created the world can absolutely control the tilt of the earth.
Substantially.
So with 40 wars fought over Jerusalem, it's because God said, I will put my name there. And just like the devil, wherever Jesus wants something done, he tries to imitate it all. So that's why Jesus and God have been fighting over Jerusalem ever since Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Ishmael. So that's exactly why the Middle East is always in chaos, and it will never cease. The Antichrist will cause a 7-year peace treaty. Yeah, I mean, that's obvious. That's in Scripture. But the Antichrist himself will break that treaty, and that's when the second half of the Great Tribulation, or the tribulation starts, known as the Great Tribulation. Lawrence is in the house. All right, let's get back to this. Good to see you, Lawrence.
The data centers, and you people are so big, you're the biggest in the world, but they've developed a little bit of a bad public. They need some PR help because
good to have
people
you, Lawrence.
think that if a data center goes in, their electricity prices are going to go up, and that's not happening. It's not going to happen. And for the areas where it did happen, it won't happen anymore because they never had this alternative. It's actually going to mean the prices come down. You're going to see how badly they want. Some centers were rejected by communities for that, and now I think it's going to be just the opposite. This means that the tech companies and the data centers will be able to get the electricity they need, all without driving up electricity costs.
Amen, Randy. Good to see you, buddy.
This is a historic win for countless American families, and will also make our electricity grid stronger and more resilient than ever before. So that's part of it. It's going to be strengthened up, and they're going to be getting a lot of excess electricity from the data centers where they build their own plants. They're They're going to be creating their own electricity. We're pleased to be joined today by Speaker Mike Johnson, who's got a difficult job, but he does it as easy as anybody I've ever seen do that job. It's never easy when you have a majority of 2, or sometimes less. I was going to say.
That's true.
Sometimes less, but he's amazing. And Energy Secretary Chris Wright, who's worked so hard, and Senators Katie Britt, Bernie Moreno, John Husted. Thank you, everybody. Really great. Thanks, Katie. Representative Darrell Issa and Derek Van Orden. Thank you both. And Derek, thank you. Nice to see you. OSTP Director Michael Kratsios, AI and crypto czar David Sachs, as well as the commissioners of the Federal Energy Regulation and Regulatory Commission, and an audience. In the audience, you have Laura Swett, David Rosner.
That's a good
Lindsay
point,
C. and
Gok.
Judy Chang, all very well-known people, especially in this group of geniuses. We have a lot of geniuses here, and a lot of geniuses that are also very strong people representing labor. We love labor. We love these guys. I also want to recognize the industry leaders here to sign the pledge, and this is a pledge that's going to be a very important pledge to the country and to their...
That's a Jack. That's good, because I don't know if he gets like a spray tan. I think that's why they started calling him Orange Man Bad and Orange Man. But leave it to the liberals to find and nitpick on the things that don't really matter. And then they nitpick apart to death the things that do matter. So in other words, they nitpick everything. So I set a poll earlier. We're at 199 votes. Should the USA attack from the air and sea, and Israel only put boots on the ground to take care of the vermin that are left to take out? I'm going to end that poll shortly. But we're sitting at 52% say no. So I'm guessing that means you guys want boots on the ground, USA boots on the ground, and that we shouldn't just attack from the air and sea and not just let Israel do it on the ground by themselves. The Simpsons. All righty, let's end this poll and start a new poll, shall we?
Their companies also, they benefit also very substantially, including President of Google, Ruth Porat. That's a good company. That's big stuff. Google, that's, it used to be U.S. Steel and things like that. Now it's Google and other places. President of Meta, Dina Powell, who was with me. Dina Powell was with me for a long time, and I called up Mark and I said, congratulations, that was a good hire.
New poll. Have you all subscribed and hit that thumbs up button? All right.
Right? That was a good hire. She's fantastic, and her husband is fantastic. He's a great senator, and he ran in a place called Pennsylvania, and he ran against somebody that was very tough to win. It was very, very tough to win, and he won pretty easily, actually. People were shocked. I wasn't. You and I weren't surprised, were we? But he's a spectacular man. President of Microsoft, Brad Smith. Thank you, Brad. It's good to see you. Microsoft is unbelievable. COO of OpenAI, Brad Lightcap. Brad, where are you, Brad? Brad, you're so young. Look at how young. I think you have to be young in that world, perhaps. Thank you, Brad. CEO of Amazon Web Services, Matt Garman. Matt, thank you, Matt. Very well. Say hello to my friend, right? Doing a good job. CEO of...
Mods, I'll be right back. You have the bridge.
Oracle, Clay Moosquark. Moosquark. Is that fairly good? I don't know. I'm not sure. I usually don't, I just go right over it and I say, Moosquark. But how are you? Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I give you a hard job. It's a hard name. You did good. You did well for the difficulty of that name.
That's right. I think so. Thank you very much. And Gwen Shortwell of XAI, another real leader. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And say hello, right, to a special person. The last administration, their allies in Congress gave us the worst inflation in, I say, the history of our country, but they say 48 years. So I'll take either one. It doesn't matter. The press gets very upset when I say in the history of our country. They get very angry about it, actually. They say it was only 48 years. I say, you know, in some ways 48 years sounds worse because it's very specific. But it sounds a little worse. But either way, take either one. And the ruinous energy policies were a big reason why many working families' utility bills increased more than 30% during the Biden administration, the worst administration in the history of our country. That's why on day one I declared a national energy emergency. We had no choice but to do that, and signed an executive order to dramatically accelerate construction of new energy infrastructure, which we are doing at record numbers. And we're rapidly bringing down those costs, very rapidly. We inherited a mess. I say it all the time. We inherited a total mess. And in many cases, we've fixed it, but we're fixing it. And we'll always be fixing it. We're going to make it better and better and better. Many Americans are still concerned that the massive energy demand from AI data centers could drive up their electricity bills in the future, and we understand that. By 2035, energy demand is expected to more than triple. Can you believe it? A lot of it is AI, and it's also all these big plants that are being built all over the country. They're coming in from Canada and Mexico, from Germany, from Japan, from South Korea. They're all coming here to build cars again.
I feel like I just lost 10 pounds.
Lost 54% of our car industry because we had presidents that, honestly, on trade and business, they didn't know what the hell they were doing. I could say the same thing for the chip industry. We lost the chip industry, but it's all coming back. You could have stopped it so easy. All you would have had to do is put a charge or a tariff on. If you wanted to leave the United States, that's fine. You can go to Taiwan or anywhere you want. But if you're going to make your product and sell it back in here, you're going to pay 100% or 200 or 300% tariff. And nobody would have ever left, but they missed that opportunity. But it's not going to matter now because it's all coming. They're all coming back. By 2035, energy demand is expected to more than triple. Under the Ratepayer Protection Pledge, we're signing today, the big tech companies are making 5 important commitments to keep utility prices down for American consumers. First, these companies are committing to provide or pay for all power generation and electricity needed.
So yeah, check it out, Lawrence, or Jen, however you pronounce your name, Jen. The person with the J and blue was pretty cool. In the Bible, no one's ever taught me this. It came to me one day when I was reading about the crucifixion again, about Christ. Vinegar increases blood flow because it thins the blood. Did Rome know about that? And that was at least one reason when they crucified people to speed up the death. They took a sledgehammer, basically, and they busted their legs. But with Jesus, they used a spear and blood and water flowed. I wonder if, just in general, for anyone they crucified, if they didn't give them to drink that sponge of vinegar to speed up the blood flow as they would bleed out. I don't know. Just a thought.
For their AI projects, which
Welcome
is massive.
in, Yoli Flores. Good
and
to
where
see you
possible, they'll add capacity to the grid by building new power stations. So they're going to be making their own electricity. They're not going to be taking from the grid, and they will actually probably, based on what I'm seeing, they're building overcapacity, and they'll be able to sell that overcapacity at very low prices into the grid. In addition to that, we're fixing the grid. Now, if we didn't do this, this was, I believe, I don't know, nobody's going to challenge you, won't challenge me. I think this was my idea. I said, wait a minute, we can't, when I first got involved with AI, they said, we will need triple the energy. Think of this, triple the energy.
Yeah, they, when Trump went into office the second time, Do you guys remember he said they need $5 trillion? I think it was 5 trillion. I don't think it was billion for AI, like the mainframe or whatever. 5 trillion to lead the world in AI, which is simply leading to Revelation chapter 13, verse 15, where the Antichrist gives the false prophet power to give life unto the image of the beast, also known as the Antichrist. I believe there will be maybe thousands of AI robots that look exactly like the man that's the Antichrist. You put one of those robots in every county seat in the United States, for example, and everybody that lives in each county has to go pay homage to the image of the beast. And if you don't take his mark, either that AI will kill you or it will tell a soldier to kill you. He gave power unto the image of the beast, that it may both speak and cause all that do not worship the Antichrist to be killed.
Of what we have now. Some people said double. I said, whether it's double or triple, that's crazy. And that was just for AI. It is incredible. And when you see the buildings we're talking about, you start to understand it. But unless you saw it, buildings that go for miles, buildings that are so big, buildings that cost $60 billion. I said, you mean $60 million? When I first got involved, they said, we're building a $60 billion building. I said, you mean 60 million? 60 million is a big building. It's not that big, but it's pretty big nowadays. They said, no, sir, we're going to spend 60 billion. But now it's like 100 billion and 150 billion. And the bottom line, it takes electricity like nobody's ever seen before. And I said, well, with an old grid, even if we fix it really well, which we're in the process of doing, you can't take that and double our electricity. They're going to have to build it themselves. And I told Mark, I actually told Mark, I told Elon, I told people, and nobody believed me. They said, you're going to let us build our own electricity? Because they've been so used to being beaten down and to have people with no ideas how to solve problems, and then the whole thing fails. It's a whole disaster. They said, no, I'm serious. And in one case, they submitted plans, and they didn't do what I told them. And when I called them, I said, why don't you have your plant here? We thought you were kidding. Are you serious? You really? They couldn't believe it. In a good way. They said, it's too good to be true. And I said, no, it's not. And here's the other thing. You'll have your approvals within 2, 3, or 4 weeks. It used to take 20 years to get it prior to rejection. So in other words, you go 20 years prior to rejection. They'd vote. I've known many plants where they've been, I knew people, they started off young. They were young trying to get approvals for a stupid plant, one plant. Their whole life was devoted to getting this plant. And around 22 years, in one case, 22 years later, he got rejected. I said, that's not good. He wasted, let's say, half of his working life on getting an approval, and he didn't get, now we get it in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. When I came in originally in my first term, we had 2 big LNG plants in Louisiana. They were in the 14th year of getting approvals, and they had just been rejected. And I got involved. They were tremendous plants. They're up now. They're working beautifully. They built the 3rd one. They're magnificent. I mean, if you like pipes, this is a plant. The whole thing is, you look inside, all it is pipes. I've never seen anything quite like it. It's like lying 2 or 3 Empire State Buildings on their side and doing nothing but putting pipes into it. So I didn't know exactly.
And all that for AI, right? Because all that electricity, that it's got to be massive. I guess I don't understand all of it. But, you remember back in the 60s and the 50s when computers were first being created, they were in giant warehouses. And now my Google Pixel 9 Pro XL is 1,000,000 times more powerful. Why would they need all this electricity for an AI? I'm just curious. I don't know if anybody knows all that in the chat. Let us know if you know.
Exactly what it represented. All I knew is this is what they needed. So I got involved. The first one I got done in 1 day. The second one, I was a little bit slower that week. And it took me 1 week So I got the first one done in one day, got fully approved. And when they called up the head, and I didn't want anything. I don't want anything for myself. I want it for the country. When they called up the head of a company like a Microsoft or like any one of the people in this room, but they called up the heads, they said, no, we got rejected. No, you just got approved. It was 1 day and 1 week, and they were built, and they're in your state, by the way, right? And they are big. And they're doing great. Lots of pipes. And there are lots of pipes, right? That's all I noticed. I said, I've never said anything like that. Anyway, so for these companies committing to provide or pay for all power generation electricity needed for their AI projects, where possible, they will add capacity to the grid. They're going to be adding a lot of capacity, and I think it's going to be really, and I've seen some power plants. I'm actually more interested in the power plant than I am in information. I said, where do you make the money for this? They said, information. I said, okay, that's good. That's got to be a lot of information, though, right? And it's turning out to be true. David, it better be true, because you got a big bet.
Jeff, the
this
left will
country has a
probably
big bet on it. But it's
Jeff's got a great point. He says, agreed, Randy. All it's going to do is heat up and add to global warming. You know, the left's going to come out about that. They're going to have a coronary arrest in their spirit over this AI needing cooled.
It's incredible what they're doing and what they're coming up with. Second, they'll cover the costs of upgrading existing power delivery infrastructure and their energy demand as it requires further investment. So they'll be upgrading existing power delivery infrastructure. They will, third, negotiate separate rate structures with utilities to clearly and cleanly assign them to the costs of new capacity investments and commit to paying even if they do not end up using all of that electricity. They're going to make a commitment. So we're going to have a situation where you're not going to have increased electric bills for homes that are in the area or even outside of the area. And fourth, they'll invest in the local communities where they build and operate, provide workforce development and jobs for skilled Americans like those with us today. We have great skilled people, electricians, engineers, HVAC technicians, server and network technicians, power plant workers, plumbers, welders, and many others, all people that I've hired. All my life I've been hiring you guys, and you've done a great job. I built a lot of buildings, a lot of good ones. And finally, they will use their infrastructure to contribute backup power to local grids during times of need. So they're going to have a lot of backup power. We're going to have a lot of excess. Basically, we're building massive amounts of electricity, and you're not paying for it at all. And the companies want to do it because this way they can, otherwise they couldn't build. I mean, the option really was not about cost. It was about there's no way of possibly taking the old grid and doubling it in a matter of months or years. So in short, America's largest and richest tech companies will be funding a colossal expansion of U.S. energy. We'll have, I read where China is building tremendous energy. I know, you got to respect it. But we're building similar amounts. We're building what we need, and we're building it through the private sector. We're building it through great companies. And I've seen some of the plants that these geniuses, they are real geniuses, are showing. And I say, wow, that's really great. You're really doing things in terms of technology with electricity that, frankly, the standard, wonderful power companies probably aren't going to be getting there. Maybe as you build them, they'll be start. But some of the plants that I've seen, Dina, are absolutely unbelievable. So they're going to be producing massive amounts of electricity and energy. The grid, so the American consumers aren't going to have to even think about it, and your electric costs are going to be going down. Now, unfortunately, it'll take a little time to get there, so they'll say, well, you know, I don't know who's going to follow me, but whoever is going to follow me is going to have some big advantage. You know, it happened with Biden where we got a lot of approvals for things, but they take statutorily a year or 2 years. And I got one on medicine that was good, not as good as favored nations, which we just got. That's 80 and 90% drops, okay? Nobody's going to believe it. But I got one on various medicines, and it was good, but it doesn't kick in for 2 years. I said, I hope I win this election, because I'm going to get so much credit. And the election was rigged and stolen. And he stood up there one day getting credit. He didn't even know what the hell he was talking about. He got the credit. He was talking about how he did this, and he had no idea what he was talking about, but we were the ones that got it. And I hate that. So this is going to happen again because somebody's going to be getting a lot of credit into the future. But this is really the pretty current future. This is going to go very quickly. This is going to happen almost immediately. The United States is leading the world in AI by a lot. We're leading China. We're leading everybody by a lot. Without this, you wouldn't even, I don't think you could build, Brad, you couldn't build a plant, right? Without this, I don't think you could, you'd have to rely on the grid, and you wouldn't be able to do that. So the United States is leading
Andre,
by a
welcome
lot.
back
We're
in. Good to
leading
see you.
everybody. And
Hi,
it's not
Jenna.
only, other countries are very much into it. They all want it. But we're going to be dominant in this field, which is very important. In crypto, we want to be dominant. We want to be dominant in everything we do. And this agreement will ensure that America can maintain the most advanced AI infrastructure on the planet without American families being forced to pick up the tab. And that's why the early ones, they hook up to the electric utilities and they can't produce the kind of numbers electric-wise that they want, and they end up raising the rates. It's not going to happen anymore, and now it's going to go the opposite way. They'll make a lot of money, and electric rates, we actually think they're not going to stay. I think they're going to actually, Chris, they're going to actually come down. So your electric bills will actually come down. It'll take a little while, but not long. So this new strategy, never tried before in any country, will pave the way for continued American dominance in energy and technology working together. So you're going to have great energy sources because you're going to build them
As it
yourself,
should
and if
be,
they're not
Mr.
good, you'll
President.
make them a little bit
As
bigger
it
and
should
better,
be.
right? But again, a lot of people, it took me 6 months to convince people that I was serious about this. And we have a very big key to what we're doing is Lee Zeldin. He's in charge of the Environmental Department and Energy. And the job he's done is incredible, getting you fast approvals. So some of the plants are starting and they're coming in. I say, Lee, 2 weeks for natural gas. Don't worry about wind. Forget it. It's worthless. You don't get approvals for wind. We don't do wind in this because it's a loser. Except for China, they make all the windmills. China makes all the windmills. The only problem is they don't have wind farms. You ever think somebody's going to have to look at that? How many wind farms have you seen lately in China? They make the windmills. They sell them to the suckers over in Europe. Europe is buying them by the thousands. And I told them for 3 years, this is not going to work out well. And now they're saying I was right. But I say, natural gas, clean, beautiful coal. We don't ever say in the Trump administration you're not allowed to use the word coal unless you precede it by saying clean, beautiful. And Chris made a beautiful speech about 3 weeks ago, and he took me very, very seriously. And every time it was about coal, and every time he mentioned coal, it'd say, clean, beautiful coal, clean, beautiful coal, clean, beautiful. I said, Chris, easy. It sort of stepped in the speech a little bit. It was a little much, but we got the point across. That coal is clean and beautiful. Well, look, it's so many of the nations that are working are using coal, and you can do things with coal today that are incredible in terms of the environment and in terms of cleanliness. But I said 2 weeks for oil and gas, coal, and for nuclear power plant, maybe take 2 or 3 weeks. You can add on an extra week. But Lee Zeldin has done an amazing job in getting you all of the permits that you need, because normally that would take many, many years. And they're already building the plants. They're being built all over the country, and they are incredible. So with that, I'll introduce Chris Wright, we were lucky to get him. Doug Burgum convinced me he was the best guy. I wanted Doug Burgum for his position, and because I'm very impressed with Doug. He's doing a fantastic job. He said, there's somebody that's better than me on energy. I said, who? A guy named Chris Wright. He's the biggest in the industry. He's the smartest. He's the best. I say, really? He's better than you? And Doug has a very big ego, so for him to say that was not easy. But I met Chris, and it was sort of love at first sight. He has done some job, and so has Doug. We gave him Interior, where they have all the oil, and we gave him energy where they take it, right? So we sort of did a friendly merger without going through Congress, because if we went through Congress, it would never get done unless the Speaker wanted to get it done, in which case it would be all right. So, Chris, you could say a few words, please.
You bet. First of all, thank you all for being here today. The reason we're here and the things that are going to happen are because of the people in this room. I want to thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership. Very early on, I mean, first week, I'm in my new job. I haven't had a boss in 40 years, and I'm in the Oval Office adjusting to this, and the President says to me two things very clearly. He says, number one, we have to lead in AI. We have to lead. This is a transformative technology. America must lead in AI, and the old energy policies that were going on would not lead in AI. We need to lead in AI. Number two, the government's a bureaucracy. It's always in the way of things. It's been in the way of AI. We've got to run the government like a business. The businesses who want to invest are our partners, and get them here right away, and we've got to work with those partners. And boy, we have 7 incredible leaders in the room today. We're going to win in AI, and we're going to stop the rise in electricity prices because of the 7 leaders that are sitting around this table. The President said you're going to work with them like business leaders. Ultimately, this is not a negotiation where one side wins and one side loses. We have the same interests. The interest of the businesses is to be embraced by the communities so they can build and develop data centers in their communities. Those data centers that are developed there are going to bring jobs and opportunities for people. They're going to have us lead in artificial intelligence, critical for our economy, critical for our national defense, and critical for our security. The nation that leads in AI will be the military superpower. That has been and must remain the United States of America. But this is a pivot and this is a transformation. And it's the bold leadership of the President and the bold long-term vision of the business leaders that I am very proud to call partners and friends around this table that have invested that money, that have developed those technologies, that are willing to invest those dollars, and are also willing to fix the biggest problem. We had 30% electricity price rises during the Biden administration, and we shrunk our amount of available dispatchable electricity. That is a train wreck waiting to happen, and the President recognized from the start we have to lead in AI and we have to stop electricity price rise, and those are not in contradiction. These companies are smart, they're powerful, they're strong, they can build power, partner with them. And that's exactly, all of them embraced it, all of them have spent money to these noble causes. And as we heard, a number of states that have partnered with the people on this table have announced multi-year rate freezes. Indiana's the leader now and the first one filing for a rate reduction. But it is the partnership of these companies and a business focused on government, focused on the American people, that is the transformation. But I could not be more proud to be here. I've got to thank also our FERC commissioners that are here. FERC is a noble regulatory agency that just got bureaucratic and lived in a different time and a different age. We need to make things happen fast.
Could they stand up?
Yes, can all the FERC commissioners stand up?
Because, you know, they're the most powerful people in the country. And I have had more people say, do you know FERC? I said, do I know FERC? What about FERC? And I learned so much about you, and you are the most powerful people in the country. So we want to be very nice to you. Please get us approvals. Please get us those approvals, okay? Thank you all very much. Thank you.
The FERC team has worked hard, smartly, and practically to enable the revolution that's going to happen. America leading in AI and stopping the price rises. Thank you all so much. And boy, one of the other things I'm crazy lucky about is to work as a partner with a guy who has the hardest job in the world and does it with a smile, does it with charm, and does it with grace. Speaker Mike Johnson.
Well, thanks so much, Mr. Secretary. Thanks to you all. It's a great honor to be here with the leaders of tech and industry, the FERC commissioners. They are so very important, and all these folks who help all this happen. Look, only President Trump has the gravitas to be able to assemble the leaders of all these great companies in one room, and also to conceive of an idea like the Ratepayer Protection Pledge. This is an idea whose time has come. I think it's going to be so well received around the country because, let's be honest about it, there are concerns that people have had. There's a lot of misinformation out there, Mr. Secretary, about the rise in energy demand and what that's going to mean for our communities. So it is so meaningful to have leaders, the titans, to come in and say, everybody be calm. This is going to be great. It's actually going to be better going forward. Not only is America going to stay on top and lead and be the strong superpower that we are, we're going to continue to lead on AI. We're going to continue to make the communities better. I'm in the state of Louisiana. A lot of this is happening in Louisiana, Mr. President. It's not just a bunch of beautiful pipes. It's also data centers. Meta's doing a big one. And, of course, Amazon's working in Louisiana and Stack and so many of the other companies. And our communities are so grateful to have that investment, and also grateful because they're coming in as great corporate partners, community partners, and they're acting responsibly. They're helping to build out the energy grid, and they're making life better, not just with good paying jobs. They're actually making life better in these communities and in our states. And so we're so grateful for that. I like what you said a moment ago. This is a win-win-win across the board. You have everybody who's come to the table in good faith under the leadership of this extraordinary president to make this happen for the country. It's at the perfect time. Trust is not given by communities and local stakeholders. It's built over time. And I think this pledge is a huge part of building that important foundation for the future. America's back, Mr. President. I'm so excited about that. Excited to be a part of this. Thanks so much for letting us be it. Yeah.
I think we'll go with John. Is that all right? John Houston?
Thank you, Mr. President. In places like Ohio, this is a very, very big deal. I know that you know well that if we want to have economic dominance and national security dominance, we need to have technological dominance. And AI and data centers are a big piece of that. And I know that the American people want to win. They want to win this just like you do.
I don't know about all you, but I am not getting sick of winning. Thank God for President Donald J. Trump. How many counts did they try to put against Trump? Wasn't it like 48 counts? And they couldn't get him. He was, what, 3 times now or 4 times assassination attempts? They couldn't get him. Because God sets up kings and God takes kings down. God sets up leaders and God takes leaders down. Daniel chapter 2, verse 21. So the next time someone tells you, well, President Trump shouldn't be office, well, bless God, you just tell them, go read Daniel chapter 2, verse 21, and you'll find out exactly why. Even the auto pen, Sleepy Joe, was ordained by God to be El Presidente, to show the United States, and indeed, by extension, the world, how corrupt the left is in the United States.
We want to be superior to our challengers like China. We want to have AI dominance because that helps give our military, our manufacturing, everybody across the country needs AI dominance if America wants to win. And I know that you're the leader of the America First agenda. You want America to win, but so do the people in places like Ohio, but they're concerned about energy prices, right? They know that they like those folks out there, the construction trades that build these, the plumbers, pipe fitters, HVAC, electricians, the people that build the power plants, the laborers, the boilermakers. Like, these are working people in places like Ohio that do amazing work to build the data centers, to build the power plants, but people just are worried about their energy prices. And what you're offering today with this roundtable with the Ratepayer Protection Pledge, Mr. President, is great leadership because this solves the problem that people were worried about. And as the data centers build new power plants, it leads to energy stability, affordable, reliable electricity for American ratepayers, helping them win.
Jeff, you're not wrong. Everybody deserves a second chance for election, and maybe we could elect her as dog catcher. Yeah. I know all about dogs because when I was a child, I was so ugly. My mother had to tie a pork chop around my neck just to get the dog to play with me.
win the affordability battle that you're leading on behalf of this great team.
And now I look like the Crypt Keeper
that you've assembled, and I just want to say thank you for your leadership on this.
Thank you very much, John. And I hear you're doing very well in your race. He's running for a very important seat in a great state that I like a lot. It's always been good to me, and it's going to be good to you, and it has been good to you. So good luck with that. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. President.
You're going to do good. Michael, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. You have been talking about this issue beginning as early as the campaign. In July, when we released the AI Action Plan, this was a focal point of the speech you gave. Talked about it again at the State of the Union. So this is a culmination of this idea that you've been working on for quite some time. And the key to all of this is that American AI leadership should never come at the cost of hardworking Americans' ability to pay their electricity bills. And frontier AI that all of these great companies work on every day, along with the data centers that underlie them, are going to accelerate scientific discovery. They're going to unlock economic efficiencies. They're going to enable entire new industries to support the prosperity of all Americans. And to continue to lead in AI, these great companies need to make new data centers. We need new fabrication capacity. We need new manufacturing facilities, and we need new power plants to be able to do all this great work. And today, through this pledge, we are challenging all these companies to think bigger when it comes to data center construction by identifying ways that we can drive down the overall electricity cost, to ultimately strengthen grid resilience, and to create more American jobs in the communities that choose to build all of these data centers. By signing this pledge, all these companies here are making themselves accountable to you, Mr. President, and to the American people as they strengthen their commitment to benefiting the communities in which they build and they operate. We as an administration are using every tool at our disposal to ensure that the U.S. can build and maintain the largest, most powerful, and most advanced AI infrastructure anywhere on the planet. And today we recognize that building the future requires massive amounts of reliable energy. And I'm grateful to you, Mr. President, for acting so decisively to ensure that the growing demands of energy that we have are never passed to the American households. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dina?
Thank you, Mr. President. It's such an honor to be with you today. I also want to thank your outstanding team for partnering with us. You know, it's been remarkable to watch this transformational moment and you positioning America to lead. Our country has had very big transformational movements before, whether it was coming together in World War II or the Industrial Revolution. But this is different. The next 3 years, in many ways, sir, are the whole game. And those 3 years, while you are president, you have positioned us to win. You have not only made sure that energy dominance is a key to how we will succeed in the compute needs we need, but you've also done something very important. You've made us all know that it's not about the products, it's about the people. And at Meta, we are so proud of the jobs that we are creating, whether it is in Louisiana or in Ohio. So proud that it's not just extraordinary engineers, it is pipe fitters, it is welders, it is electricians. And I'm particularly proud today to announce that partnering with Senator Moreno and Senator Husted, we have launched a pilot in Ohio to train fiber technicians, some who are in this audience actually today, a very important skill set needed to build data centers.
Okay, I'm bored. Let's do this. This is kind of interesting, and if it gets to be too boring, then we'll find something interesting to watch. Here is, looks like the Senate trying to pass an Iran bill. Let's take a look. I guess this is live right now, too. Let's fast forward a little bit.
Overseas.
Or actually rewind.
President.
Senator from Virginia.
Mr. President, I rise today, I believe, as the penultimate speaker before we have a vote on the War Powers Resolution, the bipartisan resolution I have filed with Senators Paul, Schiff, and Schumer. I rise today in support of our troops.
He should be
don't
arrested.
deserve to be sent into war unless this Congress votes that there should be such a war. I pray for the families who are learning that their loved ones will not come home. I pray for the families whose children or spouses are deployed overseas. unable to
Jack.
sleep with worry about them. Mr. President, I've paid
Exactly,
attention
Lawrence.
over
Exactly.
the course
I
of
agree.
the last 13 months as this president has again and again and again used our troops to carry out military action without coming to Congress. I've paid attention to the reasons that my colleagues are giving who want to give the president an easy pass around the Constitution. When we had a vote last summer about the attack on Iran at the end of the Israeli 12-day war, by the time the vote had been called up, that bombing mission was in the rearview mirror. And so my colleague from Idaho said, there's no hostilities. The hostilities are over. So you should vote against the resolution on that ground.
Well, he wasn't wrong.
When we called up an effort to constrain the president from illegally striking boats in international waters, the legal rationale asserted by my colleagues and the White House to vote down a war powers resolution and end run the Constitution was, these are pinprick strikes that don't rise to the level of war. Only if it's war must the White House come to Congress. When I brought forward a resolution a month or so ago to say no war in Venezuela without a vote of Congress, again, my colleague from Idaho said, this isn't war, it's over. It was one and done. There are no troops left in Venezuela. One reason after the next to give the president an easy pass lane around the Constitution. Well, today we're dealing with something different. You can't stand up and say this is a pinprick that doesn't lead to the level that would be characterized.
If the Democrats could do it, they would make President Donald J. Trump, and by the way, when you're referring to Democrats, when you're talking to Democrats, always say his full title and name. Drives them batty. President Donald J. Trump, if he was passing gas loudly, the Democrats would want to crucify him for that too. They cannot win anything in the midterms. The Democrats are insane. Not necessarily the Democrat person out there, the common man like me. Of course, I'm Republican. But yeah, not all Democrat regular people like us are bad. They're probably just as disgusted with the five-fold ministry of the left: abortion, pro-illegal immigration, the LGBTQ, A through Z, alphabet community, wokeism, and DEI, which means don't expect intelligence. Isn't there? Let me hit refresh on the page. Let me know if it shows back up. Here we go.
Characterized as war, you can't stand up and say this is one and done and no troops are engaged in hostilities against Iran. Members of the Senate, this is war. The President of the United States has called it a war against Iran.
Let me know if you can see the thumbs up button.
The head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Kane, has called it a war against Iran. Secretary Rubio, our Secretary of State, has called it a war against Iran. All of the excuses that you've advanced to give the president an easy pass around the Constitution and suggest he needn't come to Congress all evaporate because this is a war. It's a war. Many of my colleagues know that during the classified briefing yesterday, I can't reveal information given to me, but I can say what I said.
Hit that subscribe button too if you'd like to.
And I challenged the body, including the administration witnesses. Your escalating pattern of military action without seeking our approval convinces me that you believe you.
I agree with you. Support the regular people in Iran. Yes, but not that dictatorship, which was absolutely crazy. Yeah. Oh, that's a good way to do it. Also, Lawrence. Yeah, Lawrence says tap on the capped Shriver at the top of the screen for the like. Yeah, and subscribe.
Never need to come to Congress to wage war against anyone anywhere. I hoped that someone might refute my point and tell me I'm wrong, and they would come to Congress, but no one did. And so here we are in a war that has cost American lives, that is leading to chaos throughout the region, that threatens to go bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm asking the Senate to do what the framers of the Constitution said we should do, debate and vote about matters of war.
Yeah, but the president has certain war powers, I think, within the Constitution where he can surpass Congress. I don't know exactly how it's worded. I know it's there, though.
What are the arguments now that the other side has made to suggest we should vote down this resolution? First, they say that Iran are bad actors. On that, we would agree. If you put in a resolution, Iran has carried out a lot of bad actions, you get 100-0 vote in this body on that resolution. But being a bad actor is not an easy pass around the Constitution. It does not allow us to take our sons and daughters into war and risk their lives without a debate and vote. That is not a sufficient rationale. And the other rationale, and you just heard my colleague make it, was that the effort to bring a war powers resolution, a bipartisan resolution before this body, is somehow partisan.
Oh, wait, I'm bored with this guy. I am so bored with him. Okay, let's go to
friend from Virginia.
Try to risk their lives.
Let's listen to the next psychopath on the left, because this guy here bores me. But the next guy, he's entertainment. Definitely entertainment. Now, okay, hold on. Let's get him up here. Schumer is, I don't know what his deal is. I think there's some mental problems there.
Democrat Minority Leader. First, let me thank my friend from Virginia for his stellar leadership on this issue, not just this year, but through the last decade. And he is an inspiration, I think, to all of us. Thank you. I also want to thank Senator Schiff and Paul for joining me and Senator Kaine in this important resolution.
Watermelon head, I think, is what
now,
President
Mr.
Trump
President,
calls him.
today, senators face a choice. Stand with the American people who are tired of war in the Middle East, or side with Donald Trump, who bumbles America into another war most Americans fiercely oppose. Voting on matters of war is one of the most solemn votes a senator can take. This is about whether or not senators are ready to send your sons and your daughters into harm's way. If there was ever a moment for Senate Republicans to take a stand, it's now.
When Tampon Tim goes to prison, and I'm pretty sure he will, maybe not, but I'm pretty sure he will. He is going to be the Tampon Tim man. He is going to fight for tampon dispensers to be put in every cell of every man's prison. Tampon Tim will fight for tampons and transgenderism within prison. He ain't going to be able to help himself because that's just kind of, he's a little bit off. Aren't you glad he's not our VP?
The last thing the American people want or need is another war in the Middle East. But if you listen to Secretary Pete Hegseth's press conference this morning, one thing is crystal clear. America is at war with no plan, no strategy.
We're not going to tell you, you hack. The enemy will find out.
We are
just like
getting
Ilhan
started.
Omar did. She let Iran
Hegseth
know.
said we are
before the attack.
accelerating, not decelerating. And in the wake of 6 brave Americans who died in uniform, Trump simply says There will likely be more. That's the way it is.
Well, at least he's being honest.
This, my colleagues, is madness. Americans spent the last 2 decades fighting and dying in the Middle East. Parents watched their kids shipped off to foreign lands. So many lives lost, so many billions wasted, so much suffering and anguish that scarred an entire generation. Why is Donald Trump hell-bent on making history repeat itself?
He could cure cancer.
Why
and they
is
would
he
say it's not
plunging
good
America
enough.
head first
Because it's Trump.
into a war that Americans do not want and which he cannot even explain? Enough is enough.
I wouldn't explain to you either.
The American people deserve a say, and that is what our...
And we spoke. We elected him president. We trust him. Is he perfect? Absolutely not. It's not about perfection. In fact, the Bible says the very concept of striving for perfection. But let us not forget October 7th, when Iran invades Israel, or at least part of Iran. They funded it, and I'm sure there were soldiers there. They go into Iran. They killed Americans. They took some of them captive. Has anybody seen Hulk smash lately? I haven't seen him in the last couple days in here.
Resolution is about. We must act to stop Trump's belligerence. The American people will be watching how senators vote. History will judge this chamber for how we act. To my colleagues, all of my colleagues, it is time to make a stand. We must stop another war in the Middle East. Support our resolution. Yield the floor.
Well, guess what? The war's going on. It isn't going to stop until the objectives are complete. But they will do anything to try to stop them. They would make them stop right now today, load up the aircraft carriers with their planes again, and move back into their previous positions. They don't care. The Democrats, or at least those in government, don't care about anything except get Trump. But the American people, including 7 swing states, all 7, gave President Trump a mandate to put America first, and indeed he has. Yes, Jeff DePue, why can't they do this with the SAVE Act? Yeah, we need that SAVE Act. Democrats just hate the idea of winning fair and square. They want to cheat because the Democrats in government, anyway, are corrupt, anti-American, and they want to cheat by bringing illegal immigrants to keep them in power for generations. It'll go down to a one-party system, a stacked Supreme Court, and more young women dying from the murderous, those that are murderous, illegal immigrants. Some of them were good people, but they don't belong here. Go back to your nation to enact change within your borders. We're just fine here. If you want the Lord, hopefully you found God while you were here. If not, we'll be more than happy to send missionaries to your nation.
Senator from Virginia.
Section 601B of the International Security Assistance and Arms Control Act, I move to discharge the Committee on Foreign Relations from further consideration of SJ Res 104 to direct the removal of United States Armed Forces from hostilities within or against the Islamic Republic of Iran that have not been authorized by Congress.
The clerk will report.
Senator from Virginia, Mr. Kane, moves to discharge SJ Res 104 to direct the removal of United States Armed Forces from hostilities within or against the Islamic Republic of Iran that have not been authorized by Congress from the Committee on Foreign Relations.
Mr. President.
Senator from Virginia.
I ask for the yeas and nays.
Is there a sufficient second? There appears to be. There is. The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Alsobrooks. Ms. Baldwin. Mr. Banks. Mr. Barrasso. Mr. Bennett. Mrs. Blackburn. Mr. Blumenthal.
Six of our people, our soldiers, have died already. We're not going to
Ms. Blunt
stop.
Rochester. Mr. Booker.
If we stop now, then
Mr. Bozeman.
Islam takes back over somehow, some way when we pull out. We can't. Not until we get a decent government in there and keep our troops from a forever war. Now it's up to the Iranian people anyway. It's not our business to put new government officials. They need to do this for themselves, and that's what Trump is saying. We've done it for them.
Mrs.
We
Britt.
got rid of the idiots.
Mr. Budd. Ms. Cantwell. Mrs. Capito. Mr. Cassidy. Ms. Collins. Mr. Coons. Mr. Cornyn. Ms. Cortez Masto. Mr. Cotton. Mr. Kramer. Mr. Crapo. Mr. Cruz. Mr. Curtis. Mr. Daines. Ms. Duckworth.
I'd love to see Ted Cruz
Mr.
on a
Durbin.
Supreme Court, because one of those guys are
Ms.
retiring.
Ernst. Mr. Fetterman. Mrs. Fisher. Mr. Gallego. Mrs. Gillibrand. Mr. Graham. Mr. Grassley. Mr. Haggerty. Ms. Hassan. Mr. Hawley. Mr. Heinrich. Mr. Hickenlooper.
Hickenlooper. That's an interesting name. What's a
Ms.
Hickenlooper?
Hirono. Mr. Hoven. Mr. Husted. Mrs. Hyde-Smith. Mr. Johnson. Mr. Justice. Mr. Kane. Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kennedy. Mr. Kim.
Nay.
Mr. King. Ms. Klobuchar. Mr. Langford.
They're getting there.
Mr. Lee. Mr. Lujan. Ms. Lummis. Mr. Markey. Mr. Marshall. Mr. McConnell. Mr. McCormick. Mr. Merkley. Mrs. Moody. Mr. Moran. Mr. Marino. Mr.
Any
Mullen.
relation to Dan Maria? That'd be
Ms.
interesting.
Murkowski. Mr. Murphy. Mrs. Murray. Mr. Ossoff. Mr. Padilla. Mr. Paul. Mr. Peters.
All right, let's jump forward.
Kennedy, no.
Okay, now they're reading off the yeses and the nos. Here we go.
Ms. Hirono. Aye. Mr. Sheehy. No.
I agree, Lawrence. Too much big government, yeah. It's supposed to be government for the people and government by the people. No, come on.
No. Grossoff. No.
All right, maybe they'll, when they continue here in a second,
Mr.
maybe
Scott
they'll
of South
stay
Carolina,
going.
no. Mr. Ossoff. Aye. Mr. Moran, no. Ms. Murkowski, no. Mr. Banks, no.
Yeah, we do need to have a term limits. I think that's absolutely imperative. Even with the people we like, even the pro-constitutionalists and the pro-Christians, even them, because it's got to go both ways. And now they want to get rid of the filibuster. Now, on the positive side, that would work for us. On the negative side, next time, if the Democrats ever get power back, they will have, like, we wouldn't have any way to stop them. To my knowledge, the filibuster would be eliminated. So there is that. All right, let's get going here. Let's just see what's going on because I'm bored. Oh, it still must be live. McConnell, no. All right, let's see if we can find an update on the war. We need some war updates.
Mrs. Britt, no.
And guys, this evening, 8:15. That's no 8:15. No, it's 8:15 p.m. Eastern. I will be live moderating for Max Afterburner. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Max Afterburner, but he has great information on the war. He's a former F-15 Fighting Eagle pilot, and I think he also flew the F-16. If you guys know, I'll put him in the chat. I would love for you guys to come over and join us. He had 13,500 people 3 days ago in his live chat. I was like the only moderator at that time, and I was just like, I love moderating. I had a field day in there. He since gave me 2 more moderators on my team, so. But Max Afterburner. Check him out when I'm done, because I'm going to be done here pretty soon, and I'll be back probably around 6. In fact, I don't know. I might not be done, because right now we're getting around peak news time, so. I told him I'll be bringing a bunch of people in to check him out. It's Max Afterburner USA on YouTube. He's fantastic.
Mr. Wicker, no.
Oh, wait, what's this? What is this? This is interesting. How old is this? Started, okay, this is March 1st. The UNSC Iran crisis. Russia and China unite against West in emergency UN meeting on world. Okay, so that must have been at the start of the war. I want some updated stuff. We already watched. Oh, I know what we need to do. Oh, duh. Silly me. Silly bear. Okay, we need to get back to the press secretary, because I think she has a confrontation with Caitlin Collins as during today's briefing. So let's do this. Let's bring her back. Decloaking. Nope, not this one. We can remove this one. Ah, here it is. The best secretary, in my opinion, I think we've ever had. And the other one last term was good too.
This transfer, and we will provide updates at the appropriate time. Finally, The Trump administration is also doing everything within our power to protect Americans in harm's way. Since the launch of Operation Epic Fury, more than 17,500 Americans have safely returned home from the Middle East, with over 8,500 American citizens returning home to the United States just yesterday alone. If you are a U.S. citizen in the Middle East looking to return to the United States, the Secretary of State asks that you please register with the State Department at step.state.gov. The State Department will identify where you are and provide travel options directly to you. The administration is already rapidly chartering flights free of charge and booking commercial options, which we expect to become increasingly available as time goes on and the success of this mission further comes to fruition. I know the President and Secretary of State Rubio have been in touch as well with our allies in the region directly about this problem, making it clear that it is a priority of the United States of America to bring every American home. The Trump administration will not rest until every American is home safely and until the terrorist threat from Iran has been completely destroyed. With that, I'll take your questions. Eric, why don't you kick us off today? Thank you for being here.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here. As you mentioned, Iran's regime, its leadership has largely been decimated. Do we have a sense right now of who is actually calling
you're
the
right.
shots
Kayleigh McEnany,
in Iran?
she
And
was
also
awesome
reports
too.
that the Supreme Leader's son may be named his successor. Do you have any more information about that? I just had a quick follow-up as well.
Sure. We've seen those reports as well, of course, and this is something that our intelligence agencies are closely monitoring and looking at. The truth is, we'll have to wait and see. The president has said repeatedly that the objectives of Operation Epic Fury are the 4 military objectives that I laid out for you previously: to destroy Iran's navy, to destroy their ballistic missile capacity, to ensure their proxies in the region can no longer harm Americans, and to also ensure that they can never obtain a nuclear weapon. As for what comes next for Iran, the president has said, of course, it's a good thing for the United States to want freedom for the Iranian people, and ultimately we hope that freedom rests in their hands.
Oh, I know what I want to see.
Nations coming under fire as well. President Trump's vision for the region has been to bring the Arab and Muslim nations to the table together. Abraham Accords, obviously, with Israel. If this regime topples, could we see a new day in the region and really a new Middle East come out of this when the dust settles?
Well, though the greatest deterrent to true and long-lasting peace in the Middle East has always been the rogue Iranian terrorist regime. And our Arab and Gulf partners in the nation admit that, as well as, of course, our close friend and ally Israel. We have seen all of the Arab partners in the region come together during this time on the phone with President Trump, many of them commending him for this bold and brave action to protect American troops and our bases in the region that are housed in many of these Arab and Gulf states. And I know that many of these regional partners are contributing their air defense capabilities as well. Jordan, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar.
Stop the press. We have breaking news right here on Mike Shriver Ministries. Let us go to this video and we'll be right back with our beautiful, intelligent press secretary. We got to go here now, though. I have not heard anything about this except for what we talked about earlier, and I really want to have this up on screen. So let's cloak Kayleigh McEnany for now. Or not Kayleigh McEnany. Yeah, what's her face? You know who I'm talking about. I get them mixed up sometimes. And here we go in about 20 seconds.
Good morning, y'all. I know it's super early.
Come on, sound. Kick back in.
Good morning, y'all. I know it's super early.
Come on, where's the sound? It's not on my end.
Words can't.
Okay, here it comes.
Can express how excited you made me as I was out on the trail, working to stretch people's imaginations. It's clear that we still have a lot of work to do, even within our party.
I believe it is,
about making sure that we invest in kind of just doing the right thing sometimes. It's It's all good though. No matter what, whether it's Kim Paxton or John Cornyn, anyone would be better. I'm just saying. So again, I just wanted to say thank you specifically to the people of Dallas County.
I'm showing it. The only reason I'm showing this is because she lost, and I want to see her reaction. Other than that, I wouldn't show her on my screen, never. But this is very interesting because, well, I'm glad she lost.
I love you so very much, and
nobody cares.
I woke up still heartbroken about everything that took place. I've got your emails. We received your phone calls about.
She'll be on The View within a month. You watch. She'll be a everyday member of The View, or at least a guest star or guest loser. That is.
All of the confusion and the many people that just didn't get to vote. We have to fix this.
Oh my gosh.
Forward.
Excuses are like armpits. Everybody has them and they stink, Jasmine Crockett.
In 2026, even in Texas, specifically in a Democratic county, it breaks my heart. At the end of the day, we were about to file a lawsuit so that we could keep the lines open. The county party chair got it done before we did. And, you know, the judge did the right thing. Texas Supreme Court stepped in. So I just wanted to say again, thank you. I am back to work. I am proud to serve Texas 30 until January of 2027.
Okay.
And then let me send mad love to my pastor, Pastor Freddie Haynes, who will be.
Okay, so she will stay in office, of course, until the 27th of January January. Yeah, that's what she said. She said the year 2027, January, she stays in office. Life of Bluegrass Music. Great to have you.
The congressman.
Thank God she lost.
So God bless y'all.
Hey, all right. Hey, that's really good news. We keep winning, people, every day. We
Chair now
keep
recognizes
winning.
Ms. Mace from South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good
this
morning,
ought to be
gentlemen.
good.
Thank you for being here today. Governor Walz and Attorney General Ellison, you have presided over one of the worst government fraud scandals in American history.
Amen.
This was money intended to feed hungry children, help kids with autism, provide food and shelter and health care to the needy, and more. You both allowed billions in these American taxpayer dollars to be pillaged and plundered by Somali pirates. You knew this was happening. You chose to do nothing about it, and in some cases, you even enabled it. Attorney General Ellison, you even profited from this fraud by taking campaign donations from these Somalians after pledging to help quash the investigation into them. I find your behavior despicable. My questions this morning, my first go to Governor Walz, and I hope you learned some lessons from your last hearing with me on the Oversight Committee. Have you learned anything since then?
I did, that if I didn't speak up, 2 of my people would be dead, Congresswoman, and I warned you.
Okay, Governor Walz, what is a woman?
Disgusting.
Have you learned that lesson?
Here we
go. Here we go.
I'm the governor of Minnesota, Congresswoman.
You know what a
I'm not
woman
here
is?
to be your prop for your obsession.
So
I
if you
taught
can't
middle school
define
your
what
obsession.
a woman is, you certainly can't define what fraud is. If you can't even define what a woman is, you
Come
can't
on,
define
girl.
fraud. How much money was spent on autism in Minnesota in 2017, Governor?
I don't have those numbers in front of me, Congresswoman.
Did you prepare for this hearing today? Did you do any preparation
I take
for this
Congress
hearing today?
seriously.
And you've seen the numbers about autism fraud in Minnesota. So we're going to do some Minnesota math with you today, okay? Are you ready? How much money was spent on 2017 for autism in Minnesota? How much?
I don't know. I wasn't the governor.
Okay. Did you not just say that you prepared for this hearing today? $1 million, okay? A quick Google search or using your AI could tell you $1 million was spent. How much money was spent on autism in Minnesota in 2024?
I love Nancy.
I don't have the number in front of me. As
Were you governor in 2024?
I was, but I'm not the
Okay,
head
so
of
your
HHS.
excuse before that you didn't know what 2017 autism numbers were because you were not governor, and today you can't answer the numbers about 2024 as governor, and you still said you prepared for this hearing today. It's unbelievable. $343 million was spent in 2024. What percent increase is that from 1 million to 343 million? What percentage increase is that?
I'm not here to be your prop. Go ahead and tell me.
Are you governor of Minnesota or not?
Yes, I am. I'm not.
Well,
I'm
when
not
I'm
a prop
governor of
for a
South
member of
Carolina,
Congress.
you can sure as hell bet that I'm going to know the math. The math is 34,200% increase, an increase of 343 times what it was in this time period. Do you know the number of children in Minnesota?
I know that Minnesota ranked as a top 3 state for children in the last year.
What is the total population in Minnesota?
5.7 million.
Okay. What is the total population of children in Minnesota?
I don't have the number in front of me right now.
Are you governor of Minnesota?
I know 400,000 were cut out of health care last week by the actions you made.
Are you governor of Minnesota?
He can't even answer what a woman is.
And you don't know the number of children residing in Minnesota?
I don't have the specific number. It's 5.7 million.
That's your total population.
What is your age? What is the age? 0 to 5? 0 to 19?
You have approximately 1.2 million children in Minnesota.
What age?
I'm not even governor of South Carolina. Our population in South Carolina is 5.5 million. We have approximately 1.1 million children under the age of 18 in my home state of South Carolina, okay? As governor, I expect you to know this information. Thank God you're not Vice President of the United States. Do you know approximately how many children in Minnesota are autistic or on the spectrum?
No, I don't have that number.
Okay. Well, if you take the CDC's roughly 1 in 36 kids are on the spectrum, we're talking about approximately 33,000 kids. In South Carolina, it's about 31,000 or so. What is, do you know what this is per child, spending-wise, in the fraud for autistic kids in Minnesota?
Again, I'm not here to be your prop. Go ahead and tell us.
Is doing Minnesota math a prop? This is math. We're talking about fraud.
Minnesota ranks at the top. Where does South Carolina rank?
We're talking about
Exactly,
money.
Lawrence.
Where does South Carolina children rank on healthiness?
These are my questions for you. It doesn't go the other way around unless we're debating on the debate stage. And we're not.
If you're asking questions about being governor, it does.
I'm asking you questions about being governor of Minnesota, which you can't answer. This is basic math.
I'm enjoying this.
And you can't even answer. Do you even care about kids in Minnesota?
They rank near the top in every category. My children are fed. My children are housed. My children have health care.
Getting the services they need in Minnesota.
My children have the best schools.
No, you don't. Mr. Chairman, I yield back. Mr. Chairman.
Lady yields back.
Mr. Chairman.
Who's, Ms. Mobert? Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, Mr. Mace.
May I make my 2 motions?
Proceed.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chairman, I move that the committee issue a subpoena to the Honorable Pamela Jo Bondi to appear before the committee for a deposition regarding the department's handling of the investigation into Jeffrey Epstein and his associates and compliance with the Epstein Files Transparency Act.
A motion has been made. The committee will hold this motion in abeyance until the end of today's hearing. The committee will now proceed with today's hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the committee issue a subpoena to the Office of Congressional Workplace Rights for the awards and settlements paid pursuant to Section 415 of the Congressional Accountability Act prior to December 12, 2018, with only redactions allowable for the personally identifiable information of victims, alleged victims, and witnesses. Thank you, ma'am.
A motion has been made. The committee will hold this motion in abeyance until the end of today's.
Interesting. Do we have more on this? I love seeing him get nailed like he should be. And I hope he rots in prison. I hope so. I hope to God. He is the center of all this fraud. He is the commander-in-chief, if you will, of the state of Minnesota. And you know he was making bank off that fraud. 19 billion minimum in fraud out of one state in the union. What about the other 49 states? It's absolute insanity. The taxpayer, listen, I'm on SSDI, so for me personally, it doesn't really affect me. But for the taxpayer in every state where there's daycare but not daycare centers, where there's not hospitals, but doctor offices, but yet not doctors' offices. All the fraud. No wonder we're trillions in debt. On top of everything with COVID and Biden and just what that pandemic did to everybody in the world. exactly, Lawrence. Lawrence says his autistic children grow up to drive Mercedes and Ferraris. Tampon Tim is a disgrace to the American people, to ethics, to what is right and wrong. And he needs to be punished according to the law of the land. Wow. Just absolutely wow. Maybe we can find something else on this. This is a heated exchange between. Oh, Nancy Mace, by the way. I talked about it early this morning. She wants to, she has a bill that she wants to get passed. Death penalty for anyone that sexually assaults a child. Death penalty. I happen to agree with that. I was assaulted as a child by a friend of the family, a man or a boy. He was 17, so, and I was barely 10. It didn't turn me gay. But thank God I turned around and slapped him and started beating his face, and he stopped, and the Lord snapped him out of it. Or he snapped out of it himself. So Nancy Mace has introduced this death penalty for sexual assault of minors. I wonder if we can find her talking about that. Okay, Jasmine Crockett, we don't want to see you anymore. Puke. She's got more wigs than a, I don't know, wig maker or mortuary. All right, here we go. We need to find Nancy Mace. Legislation. Okay, let's see what we got. All right. All right, here we go. This is from a couple months ago. Nancy Mace talking about death penalty for sexual assault of minors. I mean, because in a lot of cases, you ruin these people's lives for the rest of their life. They're never the same after this. All right, here we go. 20 seconds.
Coming home from a night out with their friends, laying down, going to sleep, feeling somebody come in the room and wake them and drag her out of bed, naked.
Let me start this over.
Forced on her knees with her hands over her head. Coming home from a night out with their friends, laying down, going to sleep.
Father, right here. I got 4 daughters of my own.
Feeling somebody
and a son.
Come in the room and wake them and drag her out of bed, naked, forced on her knees with her hands over her head, begging for her life, begging for her hero, her father, me, that couldn't be there. She was 5'3". She weighed 115 pounds. Bang! Dead. Gone.
I don't know anybody who could hear that who doesn't feel the pain that this father is going through.
This isn't about her bill.
And how despicable
it's still interesting.
This process has been. I mean,
whatever had happened here.
It's horrifying to listen to this dad. And there are so many others out there who have experienced what he has experienced. So he has drawn national attention to this case, and that is his goal.
Good for him.
To do that for his 22-year-old daughter, Logan Federico, whose alleged murderer, Alexander Dickey, had at least 17 prior arrests. Depending on how you look at it, it could be twice as many as that. He is prompting demands for federal prosecution in the case of his daughter's murder. In a letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi, Congresswoman Nancy Mace from South Carolina, now running for governor of the state, writes this: "We believe the severity of these crimes, including the murder of an innocent 22-year-old girl, clearly demands the death penalty." Congresswoman Mace joins me now. Congresswoman, good to have you with us today. Let me just play this from Stephen Federico as well, in terms of what he wants to see in what he hopes to call Logan's Law or Logan's Act. And then I want to get your take on all this in a moment. Let's watch.
I vaguely remember
I'm hoping
this story.
for a federal Logan's Law or Logan's Act, combined with a lot of different things. But if you start with it federally, it goes down to the state. That's the problem with South Carolina. The counties don't talk. Like, you can't go in and arrest somebody and look somebody up and say, hey, he's got 40 crimes in 20 different states. But they didn't do their homework.
Which is mind-boggling. I mean, that's like a simple computer issue that everybody should be able to access. Will this be, Congresswoman Mace, a federal case? Will there be a death penalty in this case? Tell me what your take is.
I sent our letter. Our office spoke to Stephen Federico, Logan Federico's father, today. We sent the letter on Friday to U.S. Attorney Pam Bondi. We have not received a response from her. We also sent the letter to U.S. Attorney for South Carolina, Brian Sterling. Have not received a response from him yet. Stephen Federico has every right to pursue this at the federal level because the state of South Carolina has indeed failed Logan Federico in more ways than one. We're also calling for the solicitor who prosecuted in this case, the Alexander Dickey, that he be impeached by the state legislature. This is not the first time this kind of case has come across his desk, and he's let somebody out who then murdered or has gone on to murder. It's a terrible, terrible situation. What I do want to say is Donald Trump recently did
I want to bring up the one right now.
14164, calling for the death penalty in the most egregious cases. And Logan Federico's case qualifies for this. Last week, South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson politicized the case and may have just forced the state of South Carolina to forfeit its right to pursue the death penalty. Number one, the solicitor in this case told the family he would not pursue the death penalty. Number two, when the attorney general brought it up as the state's top prosecutor, he may have just jeopardized the case for Logan Federico and given the defense a leg up in ensuring the state does not get to pursue the death penalty, which is why
pretty bad in here
I'm asking the feds to intervene both under Title 18 U.S. Code 1951 for armed robbery and also under U.S. Title 18 Code 954J.
Yeah, but we handle them, don't worry.
That would ensure that her murder would be a federal case. So the feds have every opportunity here to do this, and I pray that Pam Bondi does the right thing.
All right. Well, we will see what the response is to your outreach.
All right. Now, here is Nancy Mace. I thought that was what I was looking for. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and bring this one up right now. And Jack, she was an intelligent woman. She was probably kind-hearted. And yes, she was absolutely beautiful. I've got 4 daughters of my own. Gorgeous. And I can't imagine anything happening to them at all that would be harmful and as despicable as that was. That father, he'll never get over that. That will haunt him. And it's not even his fault. He couldn't be there. He's probably at work or something. All right, here we go. 20 seconds, next video. Here's Nancy Mace and her death penalty introduction of, I guess, here we go. Death penalty for
Jokey Rep Nancy Mace introduces Death Penalty for Child Rapists Act. Fox News Flash top headlines are here. Check out what's clicking on foxnews.com. Rep. Nancy Mace, RSC, has introduced a bill to authorize the death penalty as a potential punishment for the sexual abuse of children. We have zero mercy for child rapists. Those who prey on our most vulnerable deserve the harshest consequence we can deliver, Mace said in a statement. The proposal is aptly called the Death Penalty for Child Rapists Act. Rep. Nancy Mace, RSC, announces she will run for South Carolina governor during a press conference at the Citadel in Charleston, South Carolina, on Org. 4, 2025. Tracy Glantz / the state / Tribune News Service via Getty Images. No predator should be allowed to walk away from the most unthinkable crimes against children, Mace noted. This bill is simple. Rape a child and you don't get a second chance. You get the death penalty. We will never apologize for protecting America's children, Mace added. The bill would put capital punishment on the table as an option to punish those who sexually abuse children. Rep. Nancy Mace slaps down early retirement rumor. Big fat no from me. Rep. Nancy Mace, RSC, attends the inauguration of President-elect Donald Trump in the rotunda of the U.S. Capitol on Jan. 20, 2025 in Washington, D.C. Kevin Dietsch / Getty Images introducing the Death Penalty for Child Rapists Act to amend Title 18 to authorize the death penalty for aggravated sexual abuse of a minor, and abusive sexual contact offenses against children. It will also amend the Uniform Code of Military Justice to authorize the death penalty for the rape of a child, she said in a post on X. We've spent months fighting to expose Jeffrey Epstein's network of powerful predators. We've demanded accountability and pushed for transparency. Now we're making sure anyone who rapes a child faces the ultimate consequence, she noted. Mace has served in the U.S. House of Representatives since early 2021. Nancy Mace claims Nancy Pelosi was a more effective House Speaker than any Republican this century. She is one of the candidates currently running in the South Carolina Republican gubernatorial primary. Alex Nitzberg is a writer for Fox.
Okay. Well, guys, I'm going to take a break for a little while. I will be back on later for sure. Yeah. If you guys are not busy at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 7:15 for you folks in the Central, and then Mountain Time, that's 6:15 p.m. And those of you in liberal California, it is going to be at 5:15 p.m. Go here, right here. I'll give it to you in the chat. Max Afterburner, USA. I'll be modding for him tonight, and it's fun, man. That chat goes pretty quick, but he does slow it down too. Max Afterburner on YouTube. He's an American veteran. He flew the F-15 Eagle, and I do believe he did fly the F-16 as well. I'm not quite so sure on that. So, yeah, did you catch that, Crazy Soldier? Liberal California. Then again, not everyone there's liberal, but the majority is. Unless, they cheat every time, which I do believe there is a degree of cheating in that state and in New York too. Okay, guys, I'll be back later on. Brother Jeff, we'll see you later. What time for Central? It'll be at, let's see, it's 6:15 Mountain Time. It'll be 7:15 Central Time because it's 8:15 Jeff and I's time. So go to Max Afterburner, give him a subscription, and let him know that Captain Shriver sent you. CAPT Shriver. All right, guys. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for being here. And always remember that God loves you and that Jesus Christ is truly our great God and Savior.